people that were loading them.
It
Yeah.
impacted so many things.
Dragging all that ice.
Well,
Everyone moved to the south.
back
also.
years ago,
So that,
right over
air
here,
conditioning made a
used to be a
huge
house. Well,
worldwide
kind of
difference.
owned it. He was the one that owned it when I became
Uh,
known to it, you know? And
First introduced where in
The-
Quebec,
the
Canada?
clubhouse or whatever.
Built a
it is,
summer place up
Ice
there.
cutters, they all
And,
had a place there.
Yeah.
So they.
mean, when I was a
the
kid,
ice and
I couldn't leave the
Probably
house
drank some
until
beer afterwards, I imagine.
2 armloads of wood.
I got a funny feeling it might have
My mother.
been stronger than beer. Right.
And
I think we're live.
otherwise, it was cold, but nowadays it's hotter than hell up there.
It's true.
All right, we'll call this meeting to order at 6:02 PM. An introduction of the new members and appointee of alternates. So, Lee? Welcome.
Thank you.
Roger, you've been here
sworn out
forever.
yet?
And I'm sorry,
Nick Bonapane.
Nick, you selectmen's rep,
Yep.
right? All right, well, welcome.
Are there any changes to the agenda?
Oh, yeah, it's a good question to ask.
Can we go back to the same?
Where do you
Fine.
want?
So the introduction of new members also included the appointment of alternates. So in your packets tonight, you have 2 applications, one for Christine O'Brien. She's here tonight. And Doug Brown missed us, so he would like to come back as an alternate. So you
Yeah,
guys.
For both, right?
Yep, so you guys could go ahead and appoint
Well,
Doug
shouldn't-
right
shouldn't we
away. He
have-
doesn't have to.
Shouldn't we have our agenda approved?
Well, that's
before we do
actually,
that?
apparently that's after that.
Okay.
Yeah, so that way he's on.
Oh, for the
he's
meeting.
On for, yeah,
Gotcha.
okay.
I'll make a motion. We approve the applications for Christine O'Brien and Doug Brown.
I second it.
Okay,
Can I, do you want Christine to sit
I
for
would-
3 meetings?
I would,
Yes,
yes, I think
we have.
that
done
is a
that's the
standard
rule.
procedure.
Okay,
And so Christine, I don't know, would you, okay, hi. Yeah, so standard procedure is that you would sit through 3 full meetings. And that's kind of your introduction,
Your training.
your training section. Doug has already succumbed to that. So on that, would you like to modify that motion?
How am I modifying it?
Yes, would you
Well,
like?
Oh,
We're appointing Doug.
and then
Christine.
Yeah, Christine
Yeah,
will
Christine
come
and-
after the 3
Yeah.
meetings.
Yeah. Well, Doug has already had 3 meetings, so
Yes.
Correct.
Right.
We're just worried about Christine.
Yeah.
Mhm.
You okay with your second?
yes.
Okay.
Okay, so did we get that? Is that,
yes, thank you.
okay? All right, so we have a motion, we have a second. All those in favor or further discussion? All right, all those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, passes. Now,
Okay,
so Doug, if
Doug,
you'd like to come on up.
Tom, I don't want to blow your bubble, but you're sitting in front of the wrong Tom.
That's the first name, right?
There you go.
I don't know who I am anyways.
If I smell bad, you don't want to sit here?
Mr. Biden, that's your seat over there.
All right, so have there been any changes to the agenda?
no changes to the agenda, Mr.
Mr.
Chair.
Chairman, I will move to accept the agenda as presented.
Motion by Scott, do we have a second?
I second that.
Seconded by Lee. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Good. All right. Now we get on to the good stuff. So first on the agenda, completeness review of application public hearing. This is for the Moore Farm Lane. Case P 2306.
And it had some aliases there, but it looks of it.
What were we waiting for on this?
Well, there were
We were waiting for the survey of the road.
there were a few items that Ty and Bond had taken a look at. But I guess the first question is the application complete? And were there any outstanding items that you were aware of? Jessica?
No, not that I'm aware of. The items that are indicated N, that's a waiver requested, you guys had discussed during design review.
But we still need to do it
Yep,
tonight.
right.
So do we want to advance this as complete?
We probably need to address the waivers first, don't we?
I think we address for completeness first.
So
I
there are
think sometimes
some,
it depends.
Yeah,
so if the waivers have to do with completeness items, you probably should do
Okay.
those waivers first. If there were other items, you would do it after.
Okay. All right. All right, so the first waiver requested, regulation Roman numeral 7 C.7.1 has to do with the scaling of the drawing requirements of 100 feet per inch. They requested a waiver due to the fact that the property is so large, it won't fit on a single sheet.
No problem.
So I'll make a motion to grant that waiver based on the fact that the strict conformity would requirement would pose an unnecessary hardship on the applicant because of the it's unnecessary to draw so many sheets.
I'll second that.
Okay, seconded by Scott. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That passed. The next regulation, Roman numeral 7, C.8. and 7D.3 requirements for a soils map. And I believe that the soils were addressed.
They were in the tie and bond.
We have that, right?
Nice pictures of holes in the ground.
The soils are listed on sheet 2 of the plan. And then they're indicated on the lot as well. I believe you were also provided with soils report. So they're really, yeah,
Yeah.
so they did provide a soils report. So that I think the waiver is really for just the soil, a separate soils map.
Yeah.
Yep.
So I'll make the motion to grant the waiver. And again, it's based on the fact that the information is provided on the drawings, and to create a separate soils map would be an unnecessary hardship. Do I have a second?
Second.
Seconded by Scott. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? All right. Next item, regulation Roman numeral 7 C.8. and E, as well as Roman numeral 7D.4 and 5 relative to utilities plan map, fire protection map. Requesting it be waived off as they're breaking off of a single lot, family member use. Only the basic utilities will be required. I believe that in the tie and bond review. They had recommended that it should be noted on the plans how the electric, telephone, cable TV utilities will be provided.
One problem with that is the power company will not give you a layout until there's a foundation in the ground.
Understood, but having a note that the power is available.
Okay, that's fine.
And the fire protection, so we had a follow-up note from the fire department that they feel the road is adequate as is. And there was only a comment about the confusion of some road signs.
From the highway department.
What's that?
That was the highway department.
Yeah, it should be the town. Right?
Was it?
Yeah, I thought it was the fire department that commented on it, that maybe the highway department
Yes, sir.
should address it.
Be the town.
They just want to make it all one road, right? One name.
Yeah, Moore Farm Lane. I believe that's gonna go right up through, right?
I think was the location of where the sign was.
Oh,
It was too far away from the other road.
I think what it is Russell is out at the edge of the road where you meet. And then the Moore Farm kind of goes actually to the Moore Farm. Whereas this is, it's actually a different direction. So truly, there's no issue with it. And they'll probably tell you that once they get here, but it's, I mean, what's going to be the address of this new subdivision? Russell Road?
I thought it was more farm.
I think it's gonna be more farm.
Yeah.
Farm lane.
Yeah.
they came back at one point, I thought, and asked for a road name change at one point for the 911 system. And I thought they want Moore Farm Road versus Russell, I believe.
I thought I read that in here somewhere.
So that's a recommend, so the fire department, fire chief said that he'd help assist to try to clarify things. I
Should
think
be
that's- I
rather
think-
easy to clarify, I would imagine.
I think that's
It's always nice if the fire department can find you.
Yep,
right.
but they know to look for the smoke.
And how would you know that, Scott?
So I don't recall seeing if the utilities were addressed, any notes were addressed on the drawings.
Right, as far as I know, so my note, in the planner review on page 6 under utilities. States that the waiver was submitted, but at the November 15th, 2022 meeting. The board requested that utilities be indicated on the plan. So you guys had already requested that, but I didn't see them on there either.
All right, well, if it's okay with the board, I think I'd like to table this waiver
Till
for
they-
now and
talk to us.
let's move on and see if we can get on with the rest of it.
I would agree with that.
Is that okay with the rest of the board?
Yeah.
Yep.
All right. All right, so the next waiver has to do with regulation Roman numeral 7, C.8 little f, G and H, as well as Roman numeral 7, D.6, 7 and 8. Drainage map, erosion sedimentation control, stormwater management plan. Request to be waived to be depicted on a single plan as we feel separate plans are not necessary.
I would agree with that, since it's a single.
So does that mean that the drainage and such will be a note at least on the plan?
It'll all be together, right?
But if
So
it's
there-
totally waived, it's not going to be mentioned.
They're
So
asking for just a separate storm management plan.
Right, so my question to Stephanie was, the sheets 4, 5, and 6 all depict the same title of the plan, and they should be specific to what's depicted on each sheet.
Would it be appropriate to have Stephanie come up and maybe enlighten us on a few of these things? That way we might be able to move a little more expeditiously.
Up to you guys.
Just a thought.
Yeah, and this is one of the reasons why I kind of wanted to get through the completeness part first and then bring Stephanie up
That
and,
bit us in the butt.
yeah. Let's table that one and move on to the next one. Maybe we can
Sounds-
get through some of these, huh? We're 2 for 2. Next request, regulation 7D.1Q showing subdivision lot lines, existing buildings, intersecting streets and driveways within 200 feet of the parcel to be subdivided, requesting requirement be waived as the proposed subdivision will have no impact on surrounding subdivisions, lot lines, buildings, or streets and driveways. I'll make a motion to approve this waiver request based on the fact that the specific circumstances relative to the subdivision make it permissible.
I second that.
Seconded by Nick. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none. Passes. Next request, regulation Roman numeral 7C.11 driveway site distance analysis.
I don't think it's necessary.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll move to approve that one.
Second that one too.
All right, and you're moving to approve that one based on
It's a-
specific circumstances?
yeah, there's just one house on this road.
Yeah.
Or one house on this driveway.
Well, the only people they have to watch out for is family.
Right.
Just remember, we got to identify as one of 2 items as to why we're granting, if we're going to grant it. So got our little cheat sheet on page 3.
Okay.
So, all right, so we have a motion by Scott. We have
I'll second it.
Seconded by Tom. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Well. All right, so we also have a waiver request for the, oh, that was the
That's just, yeah, that's
That was
just
to the-
information, right? To just kind of
informational.
stay with the file.
Okay, all right, so we have 2 of these waivers that have been tabled that I think we, if we feel the rest of this is pulled together enough, we'll entertain a motion for completeness and we'll address them.
Mr. Chairman, on case P 23-06, I will move to accept the application as complete.
Okay,
I'll second that.
motion by Scott, seconded by Bill. Any further discussion? Do we want to add to that motion the fact that we still have 2 outstanding waivers? to
Yep,
address?
that's, and I'll just say and deal with those 2 tabled waivers.
Okay, Bill, you good with your second?
Yes, I am.
All right. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Excellent. All right.
Good evening.
Hi, Stephanie. So if you can just announce your name and
Yep, Stephanie Richard of Changing Seasons Engineering, the agent for the applicant.
all right. Stephanie, let's jump right into those 2 tabled waivers if we can.
Yep.
So the first one had to do with the utilities map,
Yep.
fire protection map.
The electric line should be shown on sheet 5. There are notes, and then down the middle of the road is kind of an example line. Like Scott mentioned, the applicant had tried to talk to co-op and they, yeah, basically said,
They won't do it.
we're not gonna, we're not even gonna come visit you until you get something actually ready to go here. So
And we should keep that in mind as a board. It's not just them, it's gonna be everybody that until you have foundations in the ground, they won't even talk to you.
So that should be in an approval, it's falls under the category of,
It will probably need to be a conditions
Yeah.
precedent that happens at some point. Because once they do it, then that we can get a map of
yeah,
where they are, if that's what we so need, but
Right. Utility companies typically will provide a letter of adequacy of service available to that location. So.
well, it's usually available everywhere. All it takes is
Yeah,
money.
money.
Oh, I know. Luckily, the letter is usually doesn't cost you any money.
No.
So,
But the point is that electricity is available, period. You know, so they will do it. You just gotta pay.
So can I just clarify something?
Sure.
So are you guys satisfied with what's currently on the plan, or are you expecting some follow-up with specifics after utility lines are put in?
What's it gonna do for us? I don't think it's gonna gain us a thing,
Right. So that's the question.
you know? I mean, if we were to learn something from it, it'd be one thing, but
They're gonna put them.
they're gonna put where they down well, please,
Yeah.
and, you know,
I was gonna say, you can't tell the electric company where to put the poles anyway.
no. So I mean, it's really out of our control.
you can request.
well, it appears it's going all underground
that's the plan. Yeah.
according
Yeah,
to this
they'll
drawing.
take
Yep.
it from that last pole near the Moore Farm store and then go underground.
And they require an inspection on that being installed as well. Once the pipe's in the ground before you backfill, they will have one of the representatives come out and inspect the pipe in the ground and make sure it's proper.
Yep. It's quite the run. You're gonna end up with some sort of vault or handhole along the way.
Yeah.
If there's a transformer
Transformer.
involved, there's gonna be a cabinet that you can have a dance in.
There might be a note on that. I remember talking about it with him. I think at the end here up near on the far right of that plan, and that note talks about a transformer vault up there.
And that has to have positive drainage for it as well. That's a requirement of the power company, so it needs to be drained to daylight.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep. Bollards. Fine, yeah.
And the bollards, they'll let you
Next to
do
a
walks
traveled
and stuff
way.
like that, but
So, okay. All right. So is the board satisfied with that? We entertain
I
a motion to
personally am.
accept that?
what's the number of that one?
That was it's the third one down. Regulation Roman numeral 7C.8 and E, as well as 7D.4 and 5.
I'll move to approve those waivers.
I second that.
All right, so that motion is based on
The fact that we
They
have
actually
no
have-
control at the present time of where location
It's
will
gonna
be.
go where it's gonna go.
Utilities company will let us know,
so
but you know.
trying to pick A or B here on our choices. That's
Good question.
so it probably has to do with B. The special circumstances being the lack of cooperation from utility companies to,
Hampshire Electric Co-op.
it is identified on the drawing,
Well-
so I'm not sure.
Yeah.
Can't really call it lack of cooperation.
I wouldn't say
It's
lack of
their
property. I'd
policy.
say Their
Yeah,
policy.
policy,
yeah.
there we go.
Their
Policy.
policy or rules, yeah.
All right. Okay, the next one was drainage plan map, erosion and sedimentation control plan and stormwater management plan. So I do know that there were comments from Ty and Bond on that one.
Can that simply be handled with the subsequent conditions?
I would think it could be. It's addressed.
If it's in the, if subsequent
That word,
additions, it's handled.
So I think that, well, the concern from Time Bond was that even though the subdivision is limited to a single residential lot, the lot directly slopes to adjoining properties. So in addition, the proposed roadway has drainage along both sides of the gravel roadway that drain off site. There should be some discussion and comparison of the pre and post development impacts to direct abutting properties with an evaluation of erosion scour potential of the roadway drainage swales. It may be necessary to line the roadway swales with an appropriately sized riprap or broken stone. So I recall one of the earlier occasions looking at this and the concern along the driveway, because we have quite the pitch coming down from that driveway alongside it. And there was no clear
Thought there was going to be a something.
section of what was going to be done to receive that water. And have you addressed that at all? Is there something I'm missing here?
Yeah, we had talked about at least making a note of what design storm had been looked at as we were going through it, and I did add that note after reviewing the drainage calculations. So that's on there now, which Dana had noted in his April 12th message here.
And that note appears where?
The most recent tie and bond review at the bottom of the application comments, he just makes note that, oh, the note on my plan, you're saying,
Yeah,
on sheet 4,
That's on page
under
4, yeah.
drip line infiltration trench detail there.
so, and I guess my question is that statement says the proposed stormwater management measures are designed to mitigate runoff from a 25-year design storm event.
Mhm.
Where are those stormwater management measures shown?
They drip line infiltration trench, so the note kind of near the house there. And then on the opposite side of the driveway, a vegetative buffer strip, and it talks about how wide that should be.
Was that drip line inflation trench already in?
Well, no, nothing's in.
I thought the road was in.
the road's in.
Well, that's,
That would get built.
that's under the eaves of the house.
What's that?
The infiltration
Oh,
trench will
this
be under
trench,
the
that's
eaves of
for
the house.
Oh, okay.
That's the drip
Yes,
line,
yeah.
yeah.
Because we were talking about the road and the drainage from the road.
Okay, no, this is on the lot for the
Okay.
residential development part of
All
it.
right, so in your analysis, that vegetative buffer is sufficient to handle anything that's coming from the developed part of the land and the driveway.
Right.
Have you addressed Ty and Bond's concern about that now traveling down and getting into the swale along the road?
Well, the water from the residential improvements will go towards that buffer strip and not back down into the road.
Okay, so you,
If I remember last time, we didn't really have a lot of issues with the ditch line along the road.
okay, because it was in their review, Ty and Bond's review from.
Yeah, and we had discussed
back,
it,
but- So
but I don't
I
remember
guess,
any further concern.
I guess Ty and Bond, the town's engineers have expressed there may be a concern here.
Mhm.
You're confident that there is no issue, and I guess I'm trying to figure out how do we make an assurance that should there be an issue, how will that be addressed? And that's where I'm a little
So my
stumped.
question is, was there a stormwater plan? And did it call for a stormwater plan?
Well, our requirements say that they have to provide a stormwater management plan, and that's what they're requesting a waiver from here. The drainage plan map, the erosion sedimentation control, and stormwater management plan.
What's the slope of the piece of property that they're clearing? Is that gonna shed more towards where that vegetative buffer is, or is it gonna be sloping down towards the driveway and water running off into the swale?
No, the intention is that it will be towards that vegetative buffer and not back down towards the road.
Okay.
Sheet 5 is, I think, more indicative in the sense that it shows the cross culvert going out towards the wetland. So that could be your controlling factor to make sure that anything on the, I guess, the eastern side or southern side of the road is going to be transported over to the wetland side. Am I reading that wrong or what?
Well, some of us are talking about the building
Yeah.
lot and some about the road, so.
We're talking about the lot.
Yeah,
That's what we were
the
talking.
driveway, I guess, is the,
Getting the water off the land is what we're,
yeah,
Well, the culvert is further down the road, though.
yeah. But it covers one side of the road.
Right, but not on the side that the residential development is going on.
So there's basically a sheet flow of the driveway towards that vegetated buffer. There's nothing will be concentrated to come down to the erosion control silt fence there.
Right, that's
So
the,
that's just going to sheet flow over there. So it has plenty of land to be treated as it goes across.
right, that's the intention of the flow arrows. So when we're out
Yeah.
there building the driveway, yeah, don't peek it in the middle. We're gonna tip it this way.
Yep. And this is really not much going to go off to the easterly side of that because it's uphill. For the most
Correct.
part.
Right. It's a pretty good slope there.
I was gonna say, what's
House.
the pitch of the slope?
I don't have that number right here. It's,
25 degree slope, I think.
No, I don't.
there's a
what I read.
small area up here that's 25 or greater, so the
That's what I
rest
see.
is
One is
whatever,
butters.
15, 20 probably by looking at it.
Yeah, you're there. And Kanya, that's the one that's at then it's Barn. That's that property.
Are you talking about the abutter, Scott?
Yeah, on the tax map 932.
Okay.
This is all Moore Farm here.
Right, but they're concerned about the house draining over on the,
No, because this is all uphill. It's gonna go that way.
gonna go this way?
Yep.
Okay,
'cause
I see it.
You can
Gonna
see
go
the
onto
arrows
the
right
lot,
here.
right?
Yeah, I was looking at the maps.
Yeah.
It was, I just want to know who, some of the maps didn't show the abutters.
Yeah, the main one is,
See that now?
Your intent is to have all the water shed onto the property itself, right?
Right, down towards the low area of the lot is where that wetland is, so providing sufficient vegetated area to
Down
to treat it
Kent's.
before it
Yep.
gets to the wetland, yes.
That's what the vegetative buffer's for.
Yeah, I mean, mostly the intent of this waiver was to prevent us from needing 3 separate plans for one thing and just showing it all on this plan.
All right, my recommendation to the board would be that if we want to move this forward and accept this, approve this waiver, that we consider this as a condition subsequent that
I think
the
that's a smart.
the
move.
shedding
That's
of the
what Tom
water
mentioned
be
earlier, because
controlled on the land.
Yeah.
And not out to the road.
so we've gotten by the two that we,
We need a motion on that one.
oh. Well, I thought you said we'll move
Oh,
to subsequent condition.
I'll make the motion.
Okay.
So I'll make a motion regarding regulation 7C.8 F, G, and H, as well as 7D, 6, 7, and 8. Having to do with drainage, erosion, sedimentation, and stormwater management be approved. With the understanding that, well, I guess on the grounds that it is the site-specific circumstances would be difficult to create such a detailed drawing, but also on the condition that the water be managed on the property and not out to the road. that make sense?
And as a subsequent condition?
And as a condition subsequent. Yep, thank you. All right, I think there was a motion there. We have a second?
I'll second that.
All right, seconded by Tom. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor? Aye. Against? All right. Made it through that. All right. Now, I know we've been through this project a number of times.
You think?
And I don't know if you want to give us the real Reader's Digest version real quickly? You gotta
Yeah.
have it memorized by now.
Yeah, pretty much. They're just looking to break off a 5-acre parcel for Jim and Ally to build a house on. And that's all that they're needing to do at this point. They're gonna extend that, or most of the road's already been extended down, and that's been reviewed, and fire department has taken a look at this and seems to be okay with everything, so.
All right. Okay, so so we did have comments from fire department. We've already discussed that. So I think we're okay with the road. I know there was some test pits done on the road as well.
I was really impressed with what they used, that auger. Ooh, that had been a bad ride. Oh.
And we are not on an overlay district, right? Is that correct? Yes.
I don't believe so.
Yeah, I think it stops somewhere around the circle or maybe a little bit past the water.
Right, just a note should just be added to the plan that it's not over the overlay districts.
Okay.
So do you mind if I ask a question?
No, please.
Do you have a chance to look through that list on page 4? It's listed under plan review on the plan review. There's like a bunch, so I'm not sure if it's going to be either you or Paul.
Yeah,
on
you and I had talked about,
doing sort of what notes to add.
yep, yeah,
Okay.
you and I had talked about some of that stuff, the titles. And that sort of thing.
Yep, yeah, so I captured I believe all of that in that list.
Yeah, so, yeah, I mean, between Paul and I will work out who's gonna add what notes
Yep.
where type thing.
Okay.
And making sure all the stamps are stamped and signed and
Right,
Mhm.
yeah.
all right. So we'll run through, so we got the plan review, we've got, those will be listed condition precedent.
Yep.
Off-site improvements, I don't believe that any are called for or necessary on this project.
Well, the possibility of the road sign. That's something the town was going to do, I think.
I think the highway will figure that out
Yeah.
just fine.
Yeah, I'm not sure that falls under the off-site improvements. It's, we're not gonna make you put a sidewalk in. so.
No.
Um, The best use of land, special features and character of land, I think this is in keeping with
With the neighborhood.
neighborhood. Departmental comments, I think we've covered that. We do want to make sure that the fire department, highway department get together and sort out this signage confusion.
And I think the secretary to the building inspector is the liaison to the 911, so you should get her in the mix.
Oh, good point.
Because that way she can report to 911 if there's anything changes so they can do it appropriately.
Lot standards. I think this was, we covered this last time, so I think we're well within our ratios. Utilities, we covered that. Monuments, we will require those. The fire protection. Again, this was a waiver on the fire protection map. I think they're all set up there. The driveways, I think we have beaten the driveway to death at this point.
Yep.
And potential regional impact, I don't really see much of
I
it.
don't see that as a
Regional
problem.
impact. Protection of natural and historic features. I don't know if there are any. There's a stone wall.
The cemetery would be the only thing that I would think, and that's there, and that's that.
Oh, yeah, it is.
And this is nowhere near the cemetery.
No above ground stump dump disposal. Stormwater erosion control, I think we've covered that as well. Wetland buffer requirements, those are adequately addressed. So we're down to definition of active and substantial development or building.
Well, 2 years to get the pins in, I would imagine, and the deed prepared. That's all we really need to worry about.
Get the foundation in and go.
Yeah, well, that's, if the pins get in, that defines the lot. And that, I think, covers the intent of what we're looking for.
Yeah, I agree.
Is that the monuments as well, or just the pins?
Well, they're
Monuments are pins. It meant same,
Yeah,
it's the
same
same
thing.
thing.
Oh,
Yeah, and
Yeah,
we're
You can
requiring
Either use
concrete or granite.
or concrete.
okay. I thought you meant outlining the law.
They are for the marking of the lot.
And then what constitutes substantial completion of the improvements of this subdivision?
Pins.
Same thing.
Yeah,
These are the same.
yeah, I would think so. I mean, where the interest rates are right now, they may decide to hold off a little bit to build a house. We don't know, but if they get it pinned, and then it's a lot of record, and get the deed to the town to make sure that that's,
They can always come back and ask one more time.
they should, well,
It shouldn't happen.
they have 2 years to.
Yeah,
get all
but I
that's
mean, if
done.
they need it.
Well, we don't care if they never build a house.
Yeah, they have 2 years.
We don't
they have
care.
2
That's
years
not
to
our
pin it.
concern. We're dealing with the lot. The lot's what we're dealing with here. It's a single family residence, not like it's a subdivision, like with 20 houses.
Yep. Good. So you want to make the motion?
I think you have to do
Can you-
public.
Yeah,
We
and
do public.
before
Oh,
you guys do public, there was maintenance form in your packets. Wow. Maintenance to the road. Looks like this vegetated filter strip and strip line infiltration trench.
That just added in?
No, it should be in there,
No.
Yeah, I see it.
like maybe after the soil report.
In,
The heading starts with hydrologic soil group. And it's in that pack right there, Tom.
But the map.
Yeah, it's got a map on it.
It's got a map in the front
It
like
looks
this, Tom.
This, Tom.
This. I don't have one of them.
So what I did was to ensure that this was complied with, like the other applications that had come in. Let's see, Under
Really
the
good idea.
proposed conditions precedent,
Should have been
number
done.
6. It was just addition of a note to the plan noting that this was in place. Like I did with a couple of other site, those major site plans that came in that had maintenance agreements.
Okay.
Where is the maintenance agreement?
So this becomes a
It's in this book.
part of the condition precedent.
Drip line trench. Edge-
It's just to add a note to the plan as far as conditions.
I don't
precedent
see an
goes.
agreement.
It looks like this. This is the maintenance. agreement.
Okay, so that's vegetated filter strip?
Yeah.
Okay, that's the agreement.
Oh,
Yep,
Yep.
and then the flip side is drip line.
Yep,
Yeah,
got
drip
that.
line.
So the condition precedent only
That's number
just
6.
is just requiring to add a note to the plan that that is in place. And it needs to be adhered to whatever the schedule is.
So who creates this schedule? Who determines?
Nobody. Is that done with the building
Frequency.
inspector or?
Reality.
The frequency and
So there looks like there's 12 boxes over here, so these
Yeah.
things are
the
probably done
monthly,
monthly, some are done quarterly,
do all these
if I'm
things.
The way
got
that
it
the,
correctly.
the way the form is created is that it's an annual form, so one piece of paper for the year that you would turn into the building inspector or whoever's in charge of keeping track of that.
so this,
That'll never happen. No offense to any building inspector, but nobody's gonna look at this. Let's be really
yeah,
realistic.
this is a hard follow through.
My
Um,
question is, what kind of an inspection are you supposed to do? You're supposed to get out there with the drill again and build the road, or you just walking
no.
down, kicking the leaves aside? What?
It's, yeah, you know, you walk outside and if there's leaves all over the infiltration trench, then that should be cleared off. It's that sort of just kind of maintenance.
What
stuff
if
that people are
they
Doing anyway. but-
Fill this out and we put it in the property file. So when the building inspector issues a permit, he's gonna see this thing. And so when he goes out to do his inspections or a CO, oh, is the drip line thing here? Yes or no? And the vegetative buffer, is it here? Yes or no? I mean, how else are we gonna,
Right.
It has to be within.
I just don't see it getting addressed any other way
Yeah.
because there's nobody here to address it.
I agree. It's
That's just my thoughts.
striking me as a requirement that's going to be almost impossible to
Yeah,
keep up with.
well, and-
Especially if you did one everywhere you go now. I mean,
well, let's put it this way. If we think it's something to do, why don't we just throw it over our shoulder and call it a day? I don't know.
Is it a new requirement?
This was provided by the applicant, so
Oh,
It's-
You opened that can of worms.
I guess so. It's something that a lot of towns and a lot of, when you go through things through the state, but a lot of towns are requiring something like this as an agreement when you have some sort of a stormwater management plan in place to make sure that at least it's in someone's mind that, these things need to be maintained and
We have to push hard to get the town to do their own sump pumps.
Well, we
And that's a
have
few. Again, a lot of
porous
towns. are-
asphalt. Nobody
asking
does
for something
vacuums
like
it
this,
either.
So, so this is a requirement of the owner that
It's the owner's responsibility
Right.
to do this, right?
He owns the road, right?
that
He owns the driveway.
Right.
Yeah.
The
These are
Moore
for the-
Farm-
These have nothing to do with the road, though. It has to do this. It's for the drip line infiltration trench around the building. And then for the vegetated filter strip along the driveway. So, I mean, it's
It's
just
homeowner's
homeowner
maintenance.
maintenance that
really,
they're
it's-
doing anyway.
It's homeowner's maintenance, right?
It's sort of, I guess it's up to you guys
Which-
whether or not you want to require
The
them to
homeowner's
turn
gonna
this.
do anyway.
Yeah, they're gonna take care of it
Driveway's a
anyway.
road and you fix it.
Scott's right.
If,
You're right.
if you rake the leaves, you don't rake the leaves. It's,
Well,
so I
If he
think
doesn't
this-
rake him, his house.
if
is
there's a
gonna flood.
problem, it's your responsibility.
right.
Sure.
Well,
So,
Stephanie just made the comment that it's up to us if we want
I don't
to
think we
even
need
address
this, yeah.
this.
Right, and I
I think it's a waste of time. so.
Yeah.
I just think we're over regulating.
agree. And
it's
I
sort of-
think that if we want to make this a condition subsequent that the owner needs to maintain these drip lines, that's fine.
Right.
Leave it at
I'll
that.
add one other thing too. it's also my intention is for the homeowner, not necessarily that someone needs to make sure they're doing this, but if you've never had this on your house before, then maybe you should, now okay, yeah, I guess I shouldn't dump some sand around the outside of it too now, so some things like that
That's
maybe they
almost
wouldn't
equal
think
to
about.
clean your foundation drain. How many people never touch their foundation drain and it gets piled up with the leaves and everything? I just had a guy, I have water in my basement. I said, did you clean the drain? I don't know where it is.
So.
Get out and the water went. shoosh.
What? There's a drain?
Yeah, well,
So we can let this go.
I think just throw that away.
Subsequent
opinion.
conditions.
I think making it a condition subsequent that the owner needs to maintain these, and it is for protection of the road, down the road, if you will. Should all this clog up and get filled up, then yes, it will have an effect on the road. So I think it makes sense that just make it a condition subsequent. Having somebody try to fill this out monthly and then turn it in once a year, and someone here in Alton saying, hey, they didn't turn that in yet.
That will never happen. They're gonna come in and hand it to somebody. They
I
say, what is
appreciate the
this?
gesture, I do, but so I think I'd like to
Be
make that
realistic.
a condition subsequent. If the board's good with that.
Yeah.
Don't do that again.
Personally, I'm not. So, I mean, I just don't think it's necessary, but, if I make a motion, it's not going to be in there. So maybe you want somebody else to do it.
All right, was there anything else, Jessica? That we have missed?
I don't have anything, but, Dana Huff, our town engineer, is here. I don't know if you want to ask him if he has anything else to add. Or
It looked
not.
like he did.
Well, he's shaking his head no over there.
So there's the answer to that.
Yeah.
Mr. Huff, you're all good? Or do, okay, all right. Okay,
Into public.
yeah, open the public. Any public comments? Hearing none, close the public session. And I'll entertain a motion.
Okay, before you motion, so I have, so I was gonna assist you. So
Oh,
on
good.
page 10 of the
Page-
planner review, there's literal language that you guys can read for the motion, so that way everything gets captured that you guys discussed.
The conditions precedent.
Read that one. I make a motion that
It's 10.
the board consider moving to approve the application as follows. After due hearing, the Alton Planning Board hereby approves the application for James M. and Allison R. Brown as applicants and Thomas M. and Nancy C. Moore as owners for a final major subdivision for a 2-lot subdivision on map 9, lot 35, Moore Farm Lane, with conditions precedent and subsequent as laid out in the planner review.
Nick, one thing, if you would add to that, the case number,
Oh, I'm sorry about that. The case number is
P23-06.
case number P23-06.
And I'll second that.
So just so everybody's aware, this inspection thing was not part of that motion.
That's correct, but and this is the part where we say any, any further discussion, and I believe that we had talked about the construction of the driveway so that it does not shed toward the road and it would keep the water on its property.
As a condition subsequent,
Yes, yep. And we had also discussed, or at least I scribbled in my notes here, that the fire department, highway department sort out their sign
And the 911 rep person.
and the 911 person. And we did discuss this, but I know you didn't want this in there. I don't have a problem with this not being in there, but I did want, ideally, I would like to include some language that the owners are responsible for maintaining.
It's
the
shown
drainage.
on the plan. That covers our butt.
Right, but the maintenance thereof is not. So-
Yeah,
But you
well,
always-
but who's,
You always
why
are.
are we gonna put a condition on that we cannot possibly oversee?
I can add a note to the plan, kind of listing these maintenance items without the schedule to do them.
It doesn't, it's gonna happen anyway, because either the lots next to them aren't getting any water. They never get water, but all of a sudden they're getting water. Now they're gonna go to the building inspector. They're gonna go find out why. They'll go up and they'll see, well, here's your culvert, it's full of leaves. Rake it out. You're responsible for no post water. It's a situation that takes care of itself. They don't need us to.
I just think it's an extra layer of regulation that is
Exactly.
just, you
Well,
know.
let me ask you, do you have an issue with her putting it on
No,
the
no,
plans?
if she voluntarily puts that on there, that's fine.
Right, so as a condition subsequent, and these are all affecting your motion, by the way, so. So if you were,
Fun. It should be fun. Okay.
so if you're fine with that also being added as a condition subsequent,
I am.
okay. Or I guess that would be condition precedent, wouldn't it? That would
For
be-
her to add the note to the.
Yes.
plan.
So we don't have to have that. Right?
You're losing your stuff.
I know.
To add the note to the plan. So I crossed that off. So it,
Yeah.
so it's now not gonna be under condition subsequent.
No, because we're gonna let that go, right?
Right, it's gonna go under condition precedent.
Condition precedent.
However, I think we've decided to just be notes about maintenance of that and not necessarily that they have to follow a specific schedule and.
I think it's, you know, we should do that even on septic plans with, you know, the outfall of the foundation drains. I mean, to maintain it and the note there to say this should be maintained, I think that's a great idea.
Yeah.
But I don't want to mandate it.
So you'll make a note in there that says he's got to clean out the ditch around his house, right?
Right, here's how you maintain these things on your
Exactly.
property.
That's right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
You figure out if you want to be responsible. and do
Yeah, it's his deal.
Your
Yes.
call.
Okay.
All right,
Want a wet cellar? Don't do it.
exactly. All right, so those amendments to your motion, you're fine with those?
I am.
Okay, and so that was Nick, and who seconded?
I did.
Bill seconded. Are you okay
Yep.
with that as a
Yep.
second?
Yep, absolutely. Yeah.
Okay,
Nice job.
any more discussion?
I hope not.
Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? There we go.
Finally.
Right, thank you.
Tell
everyone. They'll be
Ally and
very
Jim to
happy
break
have
out a
this.
bottle of champagne. It's been a long road for them.
I'm sure they will.
Wallpaper here with this one.
Right, so next case, this is case P 23-10. One Durham Road final subdivision. And again, this is up for a completeness review initially. And outstanding. So we had utilities, plan map, soils report, which are all shown in drawings. Some of this,
Says, yeah.
How you doing, Randy?
so I don't see specific waivers on,
Excuse
He-
me, Chair.
He spoke.
We're gonna have a-
oh,
I would like to ask if they're all seven.
You can be excused.
I think we're all set,
Yes,
Dana.
thank you.
Thank
Dana.
you.
But
Thank
you
you.
don't
Dana.
want to stay to the bitter end.
Good thing you were here to shake your head no.
Jessica, so I see that we did not receive utilities plan map, soils report, although they are shown on the topo plan, but I didn't see waivers for those.
So there are many instances to where waivers haven't been requested for this type of information. There have been several applications that have been submitted that.
Yeah, we've just
not-
accepted without the waiver.
Correct.
Okay, so with that understanding, I'll make a motion to accept case P 23-10 as complete.
I'll second that.
Seconded by Scott. Any discussion from the board? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? None. All right, so let's start off with our waiver requests. First waiver request, section Roman numeral 7D.1.B2 to show complete boundary survey showing meets and bounds. Waiver is requested because the buildable portion of the lot is already developed and the backland area is not being subdivided or further developed.
I'm good with that.
And you're good with that on the grounds of?
Makes sense.
Do you consider it to be an unnecessary hardship to the applicant? Or specific circumstances to the subdivision or conditions of the land indicate the waiver is on this? Is
It's probably the second one. The first one is not really
So
a
we'll go with-
hardship, but
so motion by Scott for based on B. And I will second that motion. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor?
aye.
Aye. Any opposed? None. All right, next request, section 7, Roman numeral 7D.1.G1, show the minimum contiguous upland area, including areas of slopes in excess of 25%. Waivers being requested because of the buildable portion of the lot is already developed and the backland area is not being used or subdivided for the development.
Same answer.
But isn't a second lot being created?
Would you like me to speak to that, Mr. Chairman, or?
We done completeness?
Yes, that's,
Yeah, we did.
yeah, you can speak.
That's up to you guys. I could probably help with that.
Well, I think, if you. Then Tom, I think I can answer your question a little, just as quickly, but if you look at the shape of that lot. That back section there is clearly. Yeah, that section there.
I'm not concerned. I'm thinking of the lot on the left-hand side.
Yeah, waiver is only requested for the remaining backland. Only a partial.
Okay, then there's no problem.
Right.
That's quite a configuration of a lot.
That is the most unusual shape of a lot. So I'll make a motion that we grant that waiver request based on our B, which is specific circumstances relative to the subdivision.
Second,
Seconded by Scott. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor?
aye.
Aye. Any opposed? None. All right, next request, section Roman numeral 7D.1 J and N show all jurisdictional wetlands within 25-foot wetland buffers as defined. And again, this is applying to that
Backland.
Forward,
way back up.
yep,
So I'll make a motion that we grant for the same reasons as the previous two.
I'll second that.
So motion by Drew, second by Scott. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, good. Okay. Sorry.
Yeah, no problem.
through our part.
No. It's done different ways in different municipalities as far as the waivers, so usually they make me speak to them, so. Yeah, in this case, my name is Randy Tatro. I'm with Norway Plains Associates. I'm the project surveyor, representing Lee Family Trust, Mike and Candy Lee, who are right over my left shoulder. For a 2-lot subdivision, cutting 5 acres out of 15. And it's an odd shaped lot. It was created that way, the perimeter. It took us a bit to figure out the perimeter because the local tax maps have been depicted incorrectly for a long time. And even though you're not supposed to use those for boundaries, everybody starts with them, including us, and then vets it out accordingly. So in this case, it turned out that that back piece that you see on the cover sheet, that back 4.5, 5 acres is an old pasture land that was part of the original 15 acres, is not, it's going to remain part of the existing lot that's already developed where Mike and Candy live. And so, you know, I'm speaking against what I get paid to do, but there's no need to get the site features or the rest of the perimeter in the back. Unless you guys saw some reason. So that was the reason for the waivers. So you've got an existing 15-acre lot that has, I want to say, almost 1,100 feet of road frontage. The proposed lot and the remaining lot are going to have over 500 feet of road frontage, which is unique nowadays. The lot configuration, you know, you're 3-to-1, 1-to-1. The existing lot is more of a triangle and it'll be 1-to-1. And even the remaining lot, as oddly shaped as it is more like 2.2-to-1, you know, because it's got so much frontage.
All right.
So it's like 500 and like 1,800 feet back. So it meets the ratio. So I didn't ask for a waiver to the ratios. The existing lot is 5 acres, so it doesn't require state subdivision approval, although we did do test pits. We did show a 4K at 4,000 square foot area suitable for septic. We did show the building area that's required per town of Alton, 3/4 of the lot size. It's a 1 acre zone. So we're showing 3/4 of an acre is a little more than that. We identified a small section of steep slopes over 25%. That doesn't count. If you look at the sheet 3, I think you can still hear me. So that's this little shaded area over here.
Yep.
So the buildable area will be in here. We show a potential driveway cut. No immediate plans to do anything on the lot yet, so we show a potential driveway cut where there's kind of an entrance now in there. It's across opposite the other side of the road with an existing driveway. So that was something that Justin Bradley brought up in the plan review. But we did change the couple of things that were brought up in the plan review, the name of an abutter, and we did add a couple of the notes that the town planner suggested. We add, since you've got your plans, we added them on there. So again, the remaining land will be about 9.6 acres. Of that, we've surveyed and showed site features of the better part of it, 5 acres around the existing house. The existing house has a state approved septic system and well already. The other one will have on-site septic and well eventually to do septic design. So we showed a well location way down this area. There's an old well in this area. Depending on where people decide to build, you may probably have to drill a new well, you know, somewhere up in that area. And the septic area obviously is 4,000 square feet. So
That's plenty.
you know, that's, if it ends up being half that size, it'll be pretty big. So, and the other thing is like you guys said in the waiver, there's no further development out back. The land that's way out back there is not of high level,
That's pretty.
you know, so, but it is defined. Speaking to the waiver on the perimeter. There was an old survey of hunting property, and you can see where that back piece is.
Yeah.
tax map had it more down in here in the field, which Mike and Candy would have liked better, but that's not where it ended up being. But it is bounded by physical evidence, fences and stone walls already. So it isn't like it's, unclear where it is, so that was the reason for the waiver. So generally the yellow highlighted the existing 15-acre lot. The pink line is the one we're trying to create the 5 acres. Mike and Candy are here to answer any questions regarding, their intentions of why they're doing it or whatever. I think that's pretty much it, Mr. Chairman.
I don't think it's any of our opinion why they're doing it.
Yeah, I'm just saying, sometimes they ask certain questions.
It's their land.
Yeah, so in this case, it's in the rural residential district, so it's 1 acre, class 5 town road, plenty of frontage. We identified the driveway. I don't know at what time the road agent gets involved in that, is in the septic design and building permit.
What they'll do is when they go to issue a permit, they'll ask you to stake out, on the edge of the road
Yep.
where the driveway has to be, then they approve or disapprove.
Yeah, and I was out on this one, believe it or not, and there seems to be plenty of sight distance, in the area. Driveways across the street already, and so forth, so. If that's okay with you guys, I'll entertain whatever questions you have.
All right. There's quite a slope to that.
Oh, there's some topo there. There's no doubt
Yeah,
about that.
Let me just interject. So this has been an ongoing process with Mike and Candy, and talking about it. And I said, well, the first thing we got to do is do a feasibility and locate that front part. Because as you can see on the site features, there's a big portion that's wet.
Yeah.
So I needed to know 2 things. 1, what the slope was, so I could discount anything over 25%. And 2, if we could get that 3/4 of an acre in that area that was upland. And so that's why we did that first before we even went ahead with the rest of the surveying. Yeah.
And that well house, abandoned well house, that's just a dug well.
Mike?
Pounded? Okay, so there's a piece of casing coming up out of the ground, so it's not a hazard.
No, it's in a well house.
Okay.
Okay.
And it's covered.
Yeah, you can see that right from the road.
Yeah.
Right. And so, and you said that you have addressed this because there's a number of items on.
On the
just-
planner review?
Yeah,
Yeah,
just because.
there was. I have it right here. One was in a butter's name, which we
Yep.
corrected. The other one was a note, which, one was a note. Well, first of all, it's not in current use. I got that note on the plan. But there was a note about standard forestry practices or something. Was that the one?
Yeah, preservation, historical resource. So that's not a historic well house, is it?
No.
Just checking.
No.
That used to be a restaurant at one point.
Right.
That was a restaurant at one point, years and years ago. That's what I
Yeah.
thought. Right.
It was a restaurant?
I remember that because that was the only way to get to Alton at the time, from the south anyway,
How many years ago was that?
a long time ago, early 60s. Right?
Mr. Chair,
Yes,
so to just clarify, so I only found just that one issue on the plan. Was just that correction to the property owner.
okay.
So that was it. And then I think what Randy is referring to, the other notes are the ones that are listed under conditions precedents. I believe.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so running through our checklist here, so we discuss plan review, best use of land, features, character of land. I think that we're there certainly is.
Yeah, I don't really understand the question, to be honest with you. What's
Yeah, well,
character
this
of
is,
the land? I mean, there's a hill and then there's some wetlands.
this is the state requiring us to
Yeah, well.
dot our
statements-
Ts and cross our Is. Let's see, departmental comments. We had no comments. Or no concerns, I should say,
Nope.
from any of the departments. Overlay district, we determined, was that addressed or?
It's down too far.
Yeah, it wasn't in the aquifers. So,
Yeah, it's not located in there.
Okay. And is that noted?
I believe it is.
Yes.
Yes. Excellent. Lot standards, we already talked about, size and ratio. Driveways, so you have a proposed location. Obviously, you're not looking to put it in tomorrow. And you'll get approvals through the proper authorities. Utilities, already serviced by utilities,
It's on the
right,
street,
going right by, so.
Overhead wires and
three phase, plenty of power out there.
The monuments,
yeah, so there'll be actually, if you look at it. Ron has two found monument on the left side of it, of the lot we're creating, so really there'll be one new monument placed down by the road for this.
Yeah.
In this area for this line.
okay,
The rest of this is stone wall. Surveyed this years ago, so this is, and again, the only part that isn't monumented is the back piece, which we asked for the perimeter waiver on. That again has fence, stone wall on one side, this is open, but there are pipes on that location, so it's pretty, I mean, you could walk around it, it just isn't formally surveyed. Yeah,
So this is all bounded by iron pipes, so I would think we would, instead of making them put concrete or granite in, let them continue with an iron pipe. In my
that's
opinion.
up to you.
well, this is over at the road, though. Don't we
Yep.
prefer to put a monument at the road?
Yeah, but it's quite a ways off the road where the pin will be. Because the right of way that was originally a state road.
Yeah, it was a state road, I believe that it is. You know, 20, it's like 24 and a half off that line, so.
Yeah, so
It's
chance of
gonna
a
be-
plow hitting it,
It's actually gonna be low.
he's gonna be in trouble if he's over there.
Yeah, whichever. I could just have to pay for it. No, I'm just kidding. Either way, whatever's requirement, if it's,
Okay, because I think our regulations are to go with the monument, isn't it? Or,
Well, it was and it wasn't, so
It says it's cement or granite, so.
At the
Yeah.
street.
at the street. So I think we should stick with,
whatever.
okay. Um. Definition of active and substantial development,
Monumentation
there you go.
in the preparation of the deed.
yeah, so can I speak to that real quick? So in some of these cases, I don't know if you guys require a separate deed, but as Scott knows, if it's the same exact entity, the deed's not created until you convey it. If it was different entities, like in a lot line adjustment, then you'd have to do the deed to get it to work. But if it's the same person, once the planning board signs the plan, you know, that's the lot. Doesn't usually get a separate deed until they convey it out.
True.
So I don't know if you guys asked for
Run
that.
into a
ahead of
problem.
time.
And the lot merger thing isn't no longer a problem.
Right.
Involuntary lot merges.
I had an issue with that once. I'm trying to remember what it was, but
Some planning boards are required on lot line adjustments.
We do.
Because if they don't end up happening, then they don't want to have the plan sitting out there without the conveyance. Plan really isn't any good without the.
So basically it would be to install the monument if we don't
yeah,
require the
and
deed.
record the plan.
Yep,
Okay.
If it's done anyways, yep. So monumentation for both thresholds.
For both thresholds.
Once it's recorded,
yeah,
then there's
it
no
would just,
problem.
it's one monument.
Get a
that
deed
has to
made
be
up.
put.
Just that one.
It's that one monument that Randy pointed out.
Right, and we think, my conditions precedent here. So the conditions precedent. I think some of these have already been addressed, correct?
I believe that's what Randy had noted, that some of these notes.
Yeah.
He already added on them.
Yeah, on the final plan, yeah.
Okay. And subsequent, all the standard,
Correct.
all right. So. You want to make the motion? You want me to make it?
So go ahead.
Oh, gotta go public.
Oh,
Sorry. Oh, I always
good
forget
point.
that part.
Good thing you're over there, Jess.
No kidding. Anybody from the public like to speak to this case? Hearing none. Close the public session. Sure.
Can I make the motion, the board consider moving to approve the application by using the suggested language as follows. After due hearing, the Alton Planning Board hereby approves the above cited application, case number P3-10 for the Lee Family Revocable Trust. Michael and Carolyn Lee, trustees, for a final minor subdivision for a 2-lot subdivision of property located at map 9, lot 19, New Durham Road, Alton, New Hampshire, with the following conditions as laid out in the planner review, and if any were discussed at the public hearing.
Mr. Chairman, it's lot P 2310. They Nick said
P
it,
23-10.
it should be, I thought I heard 3-10.
No,
Okay,
P 23-10.
okay.
Okay. All right, so we have a motion,
Okay, go ahead, Bill.
I'll second that.
seconded by Bill. Any further discussion from the board? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? All good.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's like crazy.
It's falling on us.
AC.
AC's on.
That AC's working?
Yep.
All right, so we're gonna do other business, old business. Board to motion to amend something previously adopted regarding case P 23-08 John Jedry Jr. Contractor's Yard.
Should we have a drum roll so we find out what it is?
Read the memo, please. Here we go.
Okay. All right, so in the planner reviews, right before all of the conditions precedents are listed, there's always some suggested language that the board should use in my recommendation to motion to approve an application. And I would recommend that you guys follow that from meeting to meeting to be consistent and to ensure that everything's captured. So at the last meeting, the motion was made to approve Mr. Jedry's site plan. And instead of noting the conditions precedent and subsequent, it was just noted, approve the application with all items of concern. So because none of the conditions were noted with that approval, I couldn't add that to the notice of decision. And it also doesn't sort of guide the applicant to know what they're expected of, being able to complete. So because of that, it's an easy fix. I pulled out my handy dandy book to assist me as to how the board could go forward with fixing it. So it's called, it's a motion to amend something previously adopted. So, I would recommend, Scott, for you to, move. So I have some language on this memo,
Okay,
where it says, I move to amend something previously adopted regarding the approval for case number P 2308. So the board would, so you would motion, the board would second and.
do we basically reopen it?
Yep, and
Okay.
then you can do the motion over again.
Oh,
and then it's
boy.
fixed. And I have that language way at
It's
the
written
bottom.
right there.
Perfect.
We don't have to withdraw. We don't have to withdraw the motion.
Oh, so you're
Amend it?
just
Okay.
fixing something previously adopted.
Okay. I'm looking for the language and what I'm supposed to say.
So somewhere in the
Hold
middle.
right
it's
there.
got-
Say
I'm
this.
on a different page.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm
Yeah.
gonna borrow that.
Yeah.
But you have to mention the motion to amend something previously adopted.
No, you just have to read that bold, right?
No, first he has to make the motion to amend.
Okay,
Which is,
Yep.
Mr. Chairman, on case P 23-08, I move to amend the previous motion. And that would be, oh boy,
So then,
after due hearing, the Alton Planning Board here approves case.
Hang on.
hold on,
No.
so,
Yeah, we
so
gotta follow
your motion is literally just gonna state,
Read that
what you
sentence.
said at the very beginning.
I am moved to amend something previously adopted regarding by the approval for case P 2308.
Correct.
I'll second that motion. Any discussion? All those in favor?
I,
Aye. Any opposed? None.
Okay.
now, right?
So now you can go down
The
and
next
say
full
that
section.
actual motion, that will fix that.
after due hearing, the Alton Planning Board here approves case P 23-08 for John Jedry Jr. for a contractor's yard located at map 19 lot 18-1, 1517 Wolfboro Highway, New Hampshire Route 28, Alton, New Hampshire, to include conditions precedent and subsequent conditions as laid out in the plan of review and any other conditions stated during the public hearing.
I'll second that.
Seconded by Bill. Any discussion?
Thanks.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Didn't think so.
Thank
Okay,
you.
excellent. All right, next on our list, discussion regarding the election results of 2023. I was amazed that everything passed that. you
Everything but the
presented.
sign.
But the what?
Sign.
Everything but the sign.
Everything but the welcome to Alton sign.
Sign failed.
Well, the price tag, I think, was the problem.
Yeah. it was a lot of money.
$20,000. I mean,
$20,000 plus the fact that you've been in Alton for 10 minutes and you're on your way out.
Um. So. We have any other? Well,
we should align the officers.
yeah, I think that comes down a little later, right?
And don't we have minutes?
We're getting there.
They have
Uh,
asterisks
yeah,
online.
so next item under old business is a reminder about the New Hampshire Office of Planning and Development holds free virtual workshops. April 29th and May 6th, 9 AM to 12 PM. Got nothing better to do on your Saturday?
Right. And those I usually email you guys with the links here, read this, check this out.
Yep. Next item on the list is, let's see, discussion regarding the town engineers contracts.
So back in July 20th of 2021, which is the planning board meeting. You guys had suggested to hire both Ty and Bond and KV Partners. At this point, as of this year, KV Partners has been with the town for 9 years.
Wow, really?
Yep, and now Ty and Bond, they're on their second year. Their sort of contracts are up, so their fees are.
Subject to change.
They're done. So
That's the real reason.
historically, the board has been kind of doing a sort of a 1-year trial. Kind of do it 1 year, and if they agree, things are working out, we kind of do it for a 3-year term. at this point, I don't know about you guys, but I'm very satisfied with both firms. I think they do above and beyond. They've done a lot of work with the highway department. They're working with town administrator on some things. So my recommendation to the board would be to just have them provide maybe a 3-year contract. And go from there.
Yeah,
It's up to you
so
guys.
each of them provide us with a proposed 3-year contract with whatever their new rates are and.
Yep.
I'd like to question the above and beyond portion because they should only be doing what they're asked to do, not above and beyond.
Or at least not bill for that above and beyond.
You know, I just don't like them, if they have direction from either Jessica or the board,
Right,
that's one thing. I don't want them to freelance.
right.
Are the current contracts at the same rate between both firms?
No,
No, they're different.
They are.
and I was gonna ask that.
They each make proposals.
If we could, when we get their new proposals, can we also have a copy of what their old
So we
Sure.
can, s-
rates were, so we
Sure.
can see what kind of escalation
Rate
we're
of
looking at?
inflation. Yeah.
Did I say they go above and beyond?
yeah,
So what I meant by that is just they're very diligent in what they do.
okay,
That's,
no problem.
yeah, so let me.
Thank you
let
for
me
qualifying that.
rephrase that.
Yeah, I'm very impressed with Time Bond. I really am.
Yep. he does a
I
good
know
job.
that there was a little premium involved in that, but boy, he does seem to be very thorough.
And we still need to be mindful of the applicants and how they charge. And I
Yep.
mean, sometimes they really take their gloves off and let you have it.
Okay, so that's due, when are we gonna see those?
I'll
Sometime
reach
the
out to
next-
them. Yeah, I'll reach out to them.
See him for
after.
next month.
Yeah.
Okay, next item is approval of meeting minutes. I did have a couple of minor.
I didn't find anything, so you're doing good then.
I know usually you are the one that.
I know, but I didn't find anything.
And I love the fact that the lines are numbered now. So on line 206,
That's a cool idea.
yeah.
Yep, I like that.
Ms. Call explained their as in location, their provision. I'm just not sure what that means.
But this,
There is a provision,
That there is provision.
no
in-
provision.
I think it was that there is no provision for tabling.
That there is a provision.
one thing I see here is somehow
There is
we
no
have dropped
Yeah, I
the
think, yeah.
page 1 of 5 or whatever the case may be. I feel strongly that
Oh,
needs to be
yeah.
there. Because
You're right.
in 25 years from now, you know, someone could take the last page of this, rip it off and throw it away, and who'd know what was
I
said?
think she normally has the page numbers.
I made
maybe
that-
This one just.
I made that
doesn't.
recommendation years ago.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, so
This
let's,
one just doesn't have.
I think
page
that's a great
numbers.
point. I agree.
What are we talking about?
So-
Number of the pages,
Oh, yeah.
like
Down to
number
the
1 of
footer.
5 or 1 of 2 of 6, or, you know, whatever the case may be.
Yeah.
So you know how many there is total.
How many are supposed to
That's
be
the
there?
most important. is
That's
that they
exactly
know.
right.
And it makes easy reference back and forth.
Well, it's just, this is a legal document.
So the next one I had was lines 236 through 239. And maybe I just didn't speak clearly at the time, but the intention was that the motions, the master plan committee become a permanent standing committee to meet a minimum of twice a year, with the first meeting occurring within 30 days following the town elections, and a second approximately, not size months following, but 6 months following. You can have mine if you want. I marked it all up.
Okay. She'll hear this.
saying that.
Oh,
Yeah.
good. So those are the only corrections I had.
And the numbering the lines is
And the,
extremely cool.
Here.
all right.
261 is kind of lonely there in the last page.
He's by himself.
So with the page numbering, of course, so there's 3
Yeah,
items.
this should be modified to fit that.
Yeah.
Please.
So I'll make the motion to accept the meeting minutes with those corrections.
I will second that.
Seconded by Scott. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, correspondence for the board's review, discussion, action. I didn't see any. Correspondence for the board's information, didn't see any yet. Any other business to come before the board?
So I actually have one.
Ooh.
So, I might be a little ahead of myself because I could discuss that down at the bottom, but the master plan committee, so the implementation committee. So what I'm gonna do is draft up some guidelines like we have for CIP and for Zach. To be able to kind of have a mission of what the purpose is of that committee, and I will have that to you guys within the next, month or so. I'm trying to get them done. So then that way we can figure out who sits on it, what's the purpose of it, things like that. So just so you know.
I'd like to ask a question also. What's happening with Green Oaks?
Oh, I don't know. That's off agenda at this moment. So, but
Why?
We can discuss, I'll discuss it with you after.
yeah, it's hard for, we can't do it as a board. Because it hasn't been put out to the public that we would be discussing Green Oaks.
Right.
Oh,
No,
That needs to be
Public
listed.
hasn't been notified. So you can have a consult with Jessica, the
Yeah.
planner.
Yeah.
All right, let's see, does the public have any input on non-specific, case-specific issues?
Questions or complaints?
No complaints. All right.
I have 2 to go.
Hearing none. We're on to election of officers for the 23-24. So what are our officer positions?
Chair, vice chair, and clerk.
There we go.
Your chair, Roger's vice chair, and who's clerk? Bill.
Bill. All right,
And you've been
So-
chair for
a long
3
time.
years? I would recommend, I will move Roger up in the position.
I'd say, I say we go with status quo. Unless Drew wants out. I think he's a very good chair.
I think he's an excellent chair.
So it's obviously it's up to the
I always
board.
put the best man in the job.
So it's up to the board. So,
I'd like to keep you.
all right. So somebody needs to make a motion.
I'll
I
make a
think.
motion, we maintain the current officers.
Second.
Yep, get that train running.
Motion by Tom, seconded by Lee. Any further discussion? Any volunteers? Any? No?
No, you're.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay,
One thing I see here in the ballots, not just a flashback, 888 ballots cast. That's pretty darn good. That's usually in the $600 person bracket. So,
still under 20% of the
Still,
registered voters.
yeah.
in the-
yeah.
Yeah,
that's-
compared to
that's-
the state one was huge.
Was it really?
Yeah.
I've heard a lot of people complaining about decisions being made by only 800 people.
Well, that's,
they
well,
didn't-
And it's like, I keep telling them.
absentee
vote.
ballots
Go vote,
are a
go vote.
possibility. If you're out of town, you get an absentee
The
ballot.
state vote in Alton was almost 75%
State vote.
in November.
Oh,
And for voting for state
Offices.
public offices
Oh.
for state, it was almost 70, according to the clerk's office, it was almost 75%.
wow.
What's the
And
total in
For the
voting?
municipal ones, they were 20%. And this, I think this is even more important,
Yeah, what is the number of registered
Yeah, what's the
voters? I know
total
we have
registered voters?
We have 5,300 population, but that's, I
Um,
don't think registered voters.
Mm.
I don't know.
it's around there. It's right around there. I don't know what the exact number is, but it's around.
I guess if,
5,000.
yeah, if 800 is 20%, right?
Right.
4,000 something,
Yeah.
42, something like that,
But,
41 something.
Well, all the kids in school are population, but they're not voters. So it can't be that close.
No, but
No,
these
that was-
numbers are typical.
They're better than typical.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what my point is when I said it, we got 800, where you normally get 620 or something like that. So,
Yeah, because I actually had reached out to the clerk to find out how many registered voters there are. Because I was curious.
and the answer was.
was?
Oh, man, you're gonna make me look it up.
Well,
Yes.
inquiring minds.
Inquiring minds want to know. Well, let's keep going. So we have committee assignments, CIP, Zach, master plan.
I volunteer for Zach.
I think I was
I'll
on.
volunteer for the CIP.
I'm on that as a representative for
yeah.
the, okay,
You'll like that. That's a
Thank you,
good,
buddy.
that's a good committee.
So,
sounds good.
yeah, so that means I can't be on Zach again, right? Because that's already two from the planning board.
No,
He's from the
He's from
select.
I'm a
selectmen.
selectman, yeah.
be on it.
Oh, he's as a
He's a
select. I
selectman.
didn't know if there was an overlap
No,
because
no,
he's,
no.
No,
all right. Yeah, I really like the Zach committee.
yeah, I think it's a good committee.
All right.
We-
s-
I- So
Mindful of.
Yeah, hey, Tom and Doug.
Excuse me.
Hi, I don't want to interrupt you guys.
Good. I know.
We're all ears to listen to what the
Okay.
size of the voter.
So you've just volunteered for all the committees.
And you can bring coffee and donuts for all the committees.
All those donuts?
I love donuts.
But they're not good for you.
So right now,
It is.
Scott and Drew and Nick will be on the,
Selectmen's rep.
as a selectman's rep for Zach. What committees did you volunteer for? We have CIP, master plan.
Yep. And the master plan is kind of questionable because we don't, I don't know how many to
I'll do the master plan again.
ask to be on that committee, the master plan.
Oh,
Do
Hold
alternates.
off on master plan.
Hold
I
off
think
on
so.
that?
Yeah,
Okay.
I think so. Let me do the guidelines first, then you guys can talk about
Well, you were on
what.
CIP, right?
yeah,
You did a hell of a job at that.
CIP.
No, I was.
You were?
Yeah, Roger
Oh,
was.
you did a hell of a
Was
job.
Tom on that? Who else was on the CIP?
Yeah, Tom might have been. Tom, didn't he?
Roger was on it.
Oh, no, Tom Lee, was he or who was, there was somebody who had a lot of information. Was it,
Well, Tom Lee would come from ZBA.
yeah,
Right.
Well, I think you're thinking of prior years because what's his name was on it?
Bob.
Bob.
yeah, but this year there was somebody who was sitting over here who had. and-
Was it Mark?
Divini.
Oh, because he had a lot of
I
information.
wasn't on CIP.
Okay.
No, but he had a lot of feedback on,
Yeah,
in the discussions that
Yeah.
came before the board. He was, you know. So anybody else want to,
question.
I can go on CIP.
Doug has a
Either
question
that or master
whether
plan, whichever. No.
alternates can serve on the committee.
Alternates serve on
Oh,
committees?
absolutely.
Sure.
Oh, yeah, okay. So I was on the ZAC committee, but do you need someone for CIP? That was the other one that.
Yes.
you want to arm wrestle over CIP or?
There's two of them can go to it, right?
Well, I'm.
You're there.
Yeah.
Roger says he's doing it. So, all right, so Doug?
Yeah.
Okay. And the master plan, we'll hold off on that one for now. And address that once we have an outline of
So was it Doug and Roger for CIP?
Doug and Roger.
Okay, just checking. Yeah, I'd hold off on master plan.
You'll learn more in the ZAC committee than anywhere else.
That's what Jess said too. Scott, I don't know, Scott's pretty smart. I think you're gonna learn a little bit from him.
What's that?
I'm on the committee with you.
He's gonna learn more about the planning board
Nothing like.
through the ZAC committee.
All
Yeah.
right, I used to
That's-
work under
that's-
him for
That's-
years.
I think it's a great committee. I don't know of any other town that does it. And I think it's it's really a
It's informative for you too, because you get to meet and work with other people in other departments. Totally.
Looking forward to it.
4,396 registered voters in
okay. So the
4,300?
population is about 5,300 that was just reported. So 1,000 less.
just about almost 4,400. Yeah.
Less than 20%. That's pitiful.
1970, I think there was 1,600
motivated
registered
idiot.
voters, if I'm not mistaken.
So, I'll entertain one last motion.
So moved.
Adjourn.
Motion by Scott, seconded by Roger. That's what I heard. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you all.
Thank you, gentlemen. That was first meeting.
Yeah,
Thanks
good
for
job.
being
You
here.
dove right in.